How to build trust in yourself and others. John, a 35-year-old man from New York, had a successful career, yet he felt disconnected from those around him. At work, he was known for his reliability and competence, but when it came to personal relationships, he felt distant. Despite his accomplishments, there was one thing John struggled with: trusting himself and, as a result, trusting others. Growing up, John's family had not been particularly open about emotions. His parents rarely expressed love or affection, and his attempts to show vulnerability were often met with indifference or criticism. As a result, John developed an underlying belief that emotional connections were unreliable and that he was better off keeping his thoughts and feelings to himself. For years, John had lived with a constant sense of doubt and insecurity. He would second-guess himself at every turn, wondering if he was truly capable or deserving of success. And when it came to others, his fear of betrayal or rejection prevented him from fully trusting them. Though he longed for deep, meaningful relationships, his own barriers kept him isolated. One day, after a particularly challenging experience at work, John had an epiphany. He realized that the core issue wasn't the people around him, it was his inability to trust himself. If he couldn't believe in his own worth and judgment, how could he expect anyone else to trust him? Determined to change, John took the first step. He decided to be more honest with himself. He started by acknowledging his strengths, however small they seemed, and giving himself credit for his accomplishments. For years, he had discounted his successes, attributing them to luck or external circumstances. But now, he began to see his achievements for what they were: the result of hard work, dedication, and his own abilities. As John began to trust himself more, something shifted in his interactions with others. He became more open and authentic in his conversations, expressing his thoughts and feelings without fear of judgment. This newfound authenticity allowed him to connect with others on a deeper level. His colleagues and friends noticed the change and responded with more openness, strengthening the trust between them. However, building trust was not an overnight process. It took time for John to let go of his old habits of self-doubt and defensiveness. There were moments when he still felt vulnerable and anxious, but he reminded himself that vulnerability was not a weakness, it was a sign of strength. By embracing vulnerability, John was able to build more genuine connections and strengthen his relationships. Through this journey, John learned that trust is a two-way street. To build trust in others, he first had to trust himself. It was about being true to his values, being open with his feelings, and being willing to take risks. In doing so, he found that not only did his self-esteem grow, but his relationships with others became more meaningful and authentic. Moral of the story: trust begins with self-acceptance. When you learn to trust yourself, embrace your vulnerabilities, and acknowledge your worth, you create a foundation for building trust with others. Trust isn't just about waiting for others to prove themselves. It's about showing up authentically, being open, and taking responsibility for your own actions.